go to Igal first. How are you feeling after that defeat, mate? Two massive penalty calls go against you. Crazy, only 5 minutes of added time coming on. Arsenal fans across socials are saying we were robbed. Give us your take, Igal.
Southwestern Rail, thank you. You saved me a trip because I wasn't able to go to the game today. Honestly, that I felt like at times I felt like Newcastle were just resolute, solid defensively, and at times I thought, you know what, we had chances, but we were just not taking them. Eddie Nketiah had the best chance of the game, and you know what? No fault of his own. He took it well. Nick Pope stopped it. Now let's get on to some of the refereeing decisions. Not even an excuse. Just the referee for the whole game was poor, in my opinion. I genuinely believe the card decisions that he was making, he had no control of the game early. He tried to gain control of the game by giving everyone yellow cards. After a while, he realized he was 5 yellow cards in, and he's like, I can't just keep giving them out for no reason. So he kind of ate his card, and then people who deserved getting yellow cards later on didn't get it because he made his point early. Then you have the actual refereeing decisions over the penalties. I personally think there was one penalty at least out of those two, and the shirt pull. If I'm not mistaken, if it's visible that you can see it on VAR, they should be giving it. So I don't know what VAR was doing. The other one, if the rule is that his arm is too close to his body and it hits the inside of his elbow for the second one, maybe I'll understand it. But where does your arm begin? Because that's clearly past your shirt line. So if they're saying, oh, it's because it's too close to his body, I don't know. I feel like they're freestyling these rules every day. But long story short, it was 2 points. It was 2 points dropped, not 1 point gain, in my opinion. I got to give credit to Newcastle. They've been the best team that's come to the Emirates this season by far. Out of every team we played at the Emirates this season, they've given us the most challenge. We played Southampton. I felt like it was nowhere near this level of defensive resoluteness, and attacking wise, they still weren't there. They're physical with us. And maybe they're giving people a blueprint on what to do when it comes to coming to the Emirates. But I think Mikel Arteta is going to have to find another solution if people just start trying to get physical with us, because we need to be up for these battles. And today, I'm not saying we weren't up for the battle, but the referee didn't give us any favors.
Were Arsenal robbed, Brandon?
For once, Terry, I actually couldn't agree more with Miguel and his whole analysis there. Of course, people are going to talk about the refereeing decisions. And, we'll touch on that in a second. But I like to analyse our performance more than anything else. 67% possession, 17 shots on goal and only 4 on target. That shows a lack of cutting edge, And I feel for Mikel Arteta because he hasn't really got many options on the bench, if any at all. And that's why we need to go out in January and strengthen. But for me, I think he made... Obviously, Ben White's, tired, so he's brought on Tomiyasu. For me, I think he should have maybe brought on Kieran Tierney to give a little bit of width because we was trying to go through the middle too much, and Newcastle were quite aware of what we was trying to do and closing us down quite easily. I think if you'd have brought on Tierney, maybe took off Xhaka and left Zinchenko to control the midfield, then maybe we would have seen a different outcome. On the referee. The yellow cards was just ridiculous, mate. Absolutely ridiculous. Like Agal said, he lost control of the game. I know he was giving out yellow cards for both teams, but ultimately for Arsenal, that means that you can't then play the game that you want to play. We're a high-pressing team. We like to win the ball as high up the pitch as possible in the final third. As soon as you've got all 3 of your midfielders on a yellow card, you can no longer press as much as you want to, because all it takes is for Martin Odegaard, Granit Xhaka to mistime one of them tackles, and then all of a sudden you're down to 10 men, especially with the way that the referee was giving out yellow cards. On the penalty incident, I 100% think that Gabriel, that is a penalty all day long. The second one, or the one towards the end, a little bit more sceptical about that. I think that would have been very harsh on Newcastle. But on the Gabriel one, we see this with England, Harry Maguire got absolutely manhandled in the box, didn't get nothing. So, again, questions have to be made of VAR and the decisions that these referees and VAR are making, because that, for me, is an absolute clear and obvious mistake. And if that had happened anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been given as a free kick. So, for me, yes, we was slightly robbed, but I don't really want to come up with excuses and stuff like that, because there was certain aspects of our game that we could have done better as well. You know, we had chances. You know, we wasn't really at the races as much as we was, you know, the other night against Brighton. We didn't really have that cutting edge as well. We controlled the majority of the game. We just wasn't good enough in the final third. Newcastle as well, credit to them. They defended really well. Eddie Howe has done an excellent job with them. And I'll tell you now, if they go out in January and get a couple of decent players, then they'll finish in that top four all day long. But with regards to our next couple of fixtures, we said that this was going to be important. We've got Tottenham next away, which we don't tend to do very well at Tottenham away. Hopefully we can change our fortunes in that. And then we've got to play Manchester United. Now, with the way Man United are playing and the fact that they are literally, you know, fighting for the top two places in terms of like when 1 point behind Manchester City, are level on points for Newcastle as well. Them two games become very, very important for Arsenal, because if we don't pick up them points, all of a sudden we're dragged back into a top four race. So, yeah, big games ahead, massive games.
Certainly is. Go on, Nick. Go on, bro.
Yeah, listen, I respect everything that both Egal and Brandon have said. And Egal might be surprised by that, because a lot of the times he's very biased when it comes to Arsenal. And I expect it, because he's an Arsenal fan, and I get it. But I think he's spot on. I think, Terry, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in your opening spiel, because I don't understand how you are so adamant that the second one was a stone cold penalty. First one, 100%. And I say I don't understand. I heard your reasoning, so I get where you're coming from. But he was 1 yard away from Xhaka and Murphy, about 1 yard away. The ball was hit with extreme pace. And he actually obviously first tried to make himself smaller by turning, and it's hit. I'm not even sure if it's hit the left arm or actually the underneath of the elbow, but it's from such a close distance. If you compare it to, for example, when we played Wolves yesterday, there was from a longer distance, and the guy's hands were kind of by his side, but slightly away, and then no penalty was given. I think most people kind of said, I get it. I get why it's not given, because he couldn't really put his hand anywhere else. But on top of that, usually we say, yes, there's refereeing decisions, and some decisions may not go for you, some may well go for you. But what about the analysis of the performance? How many saves did Nick Pope have to make? One from Nketiah? So we can talk about Arsenal being robbed, but Arsenal didn't do enough to win the game. They dominated possession, but how many saves? David De Gea in a 3-0 win made more saves against Bournemouth than Nick Pope had to do against Arsenal. I don't think they were robbed. I think a draw was the fair result based on the chances created. The referee was bad for both teams. Xhaka could have been sent off. I won't say should, but could have been sent off.
Look, I think that's fair. Obviously, for me, I'm reacting to what the majority of Gunners are saying online. I'm asking them their opinions. I did say that I think Newcastle were worthy of a draw. I think they played very, very well. In terms of the penalty, firstly, United's penalty against Wolves, that I said that should have been given. Last night, Brentford versus Liverpool, there was a cross a little bit further away, but not by much, that hit a defender's arm outside the box in exactly the same way, and it was given. Based on me asking for a penalty for Man United in the same scenario, and then agreeing with the handball last night in the Liverpool game, I can't then change my mind today and say Arsenal.
I can't remember the Liverpool one to speak of, but this one was from closer range than
but for me, what he did for me, and players do this to be smart, and this is why when the free kick was given last night in the Brentford game, I think it was the Brentford game. It may have been the day before in the Nottingham Forest Chelsea game. It was a game I've watched in the last couple of days, and the player obviously couldn't get to it, and they twist their bodies because they know their arm is going to come around to the side. But because their arm's by the side, they think, for me, I think they're being smart. I think they're being cute. Same as the one against Wolves. The guy like keeps his arm by his side, but drops his body weight down. And then it's like not in an unnatural position. It's a save, like for me. However, that being put aside, I kind of look at it this way. Newcastle did defend well, but the referee played a bigger part tonight than just these penalties. The referee played a bigger part tonight than just the time added on. The level of yellow cards that he gave out too quickly then led to players that maybe should have got red cards, not getting red cards. The game lost control. The game became bitty. Now that, in my opinion, wasn't Newcastle or Arsenal's fault. that was the refereeing himself. I think the referee's worst element of his performance was losing control of the game because we lost the spectacle.
Can I just add as well, Terry?
Go on.
Bruno Guimaraes didn't even receive a yellow card. Twice he went up to the referee doing this. Show the card, show the card. Like, normally, you do that, you're getting given a yellow card. So it was almost like you say.
Almiron got a yellow card for moving 1 yard over the line when everyone does it. So he was very. I don't know what I'm saying. I think he had a bad game. I agree.
He had a bad game for everybody.
He had a bad game on both sides.
On that, losing control of the game, it hurt everybody. But those penalty decisions and the time added on, for me, like if that's, I have to be really fair. If that was Man United tonight and we played like that, even if we weren't good enough, and there was easily 10 minutes of time wasted in that game, plus stoppages. There wasn't very many subs. To only have 5 minutes of time added on as well, I think it's insult to injury in terms of that. But as I said as well, Arsenal need to buy more because they need some more of that bench. The fact, I would say tonight is damning for the likes of Vieira, that Arteta didn't turn to them to help win a game in that situation. The fact he didn't turn to them is massive. And Arsenal have got to pull their finger out tomorrow because, according to Steinbeck and a few others, Chelsea are going seriously hard right now at this Mudryk deal. Now, I don't think it will happen, but just go and get it done. Get him in because the next 2 games now for Arsenal are huge. This is what's crazy. Arsenal lose their next 2 games. Man United win them. Man United will be like 2 or 3 points behind. Like, that's how quick this can change. Massive next few games in the Premier League. And I know we're all excited about it.